Hey there! Welcome to Secrets of the Ancients. If you want to keep exploring the mysteries of history with us, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. Your support really helps us bring you more amazing stories from the past. A fragile age, the mysterious doctor who thrived, and the tomb that revealed his secrets.
A joint Swiss-French archaeological team discovered the tomb of a mysterious doctor in the shadow of Egypt's ancient pyramids.
But the strangest part?
When they uncovered the burial chamber, they didn't find a body or piles of golden treasures. Sadly, the tomb had been robbed long ago. Yet what remained turned out to be even more fascinating, words and colourful paintings still vibrant after all those centuries underground. The walls showed jars, containers, abstract patterns, and strange geometric shapes, and there were hieroglyphs and lines of sacred text carved so finely it felt like someone had poured their soul into every stroke.
From these inscriptions, we learned who Teti really was. Turns out he wasn't just a doctor, he was also known as a Senet magician. Senet was the ancient Egyptian scorpion goddess, feared and revered, believed to cure venomous bites and protect people from poisons. Being called a Senet magician meant Teti specialized in treating dangerous stings and bites. And if he had a whole tomb to himself, he was probably Egypt's top expert at it, a man who healed with both medicine and magic. But there's more. He also carried the title Director of Medicinal Plants, a title seen only once before in all of ancient Egypt. It suggests he deeply understood the healing power of herbs, roots, and oils. Now, you might wonder, what plants could grow in a land of endless sand? Surprisingly, the ancient Egyptians used herbal remedies so advanced that some would still pass modern lab tests. They created pills, ointments, and even inhalers. Often they'd pick an active ingredient, add flavor so it's easier to swallow, and something to help deliver it into the body. Sound familiar? Sure, they didn't have much in the way of typical greenery, so some ingredients sound strange by today's standards. Crocodile dung, honey mixed with acacia, and so on. They even made anti-wrinkle creams.
And it turns out this mysterious healer also had another rare title, Chief Dentist. Ancient Egyptian dental records are incredibly scarce, so this is remarkable. He wasn't just fighting venom or studying plants, he was also trusted to care for people's teeth and jaws, and teeth were a huge issue back then. The ancient Egyptians often chewed bread full of sand grains and raw vegetables, which wore down enamel, causing tooth loss and terrible erosion. They had to improvise. The world's oldest toothpaste made of crushed rock, mint and pepper, or sometimes eggshell, peas and natron, a salty mineral used for cleaning. They even made mouthwashes from celery bran and herbs. Some mummies were found with crude metal braces or gold wires holding teeth together, though we're not sure if that was for the living or a gift for the afterlife.
Wow, that's honestly amazing! Even thousands of years ago, they were finding ways to solve problems we still face today.
So, Teti had 3 rare titles all at once, an incredible feat. In his time, he must have been admired as both a scientist and a magician, knowing which leaf or bark could save a life. That's why archaeologists believe he wasn't just any doctor, he was likely the royal physician who treated the pharaoh himself, perhaps Pepi II, and who knows, maybe that's why he lived so long. But if so, he might also have witnessed the end of Egypt's old kingdom from within the palace walls, then was buried. His body lost or stolen over time. Yet researchers are still studying his tomb, uncovering traces of this extraordinary man.
All ancient Egyptians practiced medicine at an impressively advanced level. They had hospitals, specialized surgeries, and even medical schools. Both men and women could become doctors. Some focused only on eyes, others on teeth or the stomach, or what they called hidden diseases.
They cleaned and dressed wounds, set broken bones with splints wrapped in linen, and even prevented infections. There were rectal doctors, too. They built the first prosthetics, like a wooden toe with leather straps so people could walk normally again. The oldest known prosthetic is 3,000 years old.
Perhaps the most shocking part? They even tried to remove tumors. A recent study looked at a 4,000-year-old skull that had signs of previous tumors and surgical cut marks made with metal tools, maybe to remove or study them.
Another skull, from a woman over 50, showed similar marks plus healed fractures, suggesting her treatment might have actually worked. Being a healer back then meant being a priest, scientist, and magician all in one. Medicine wasn't just practical, it was sacred.
Egyptians believed illness could be both physical and spiritual, so doctors recited spells while treating wounds, and many of their remedies worked. Their reputation was so strong that even leaders from ancient Persia sought out Egyptian doctors.
The Greek poet Homer even wrote that Egyptians were the best healers in the world. Of course, they didn't understand the human body perfectly. They thought the heart controlled thought and emotion, and had no idea what the brain really did.
But their method of observing symptoms, diagnosing, and treating, that's the foundation of modern medicine. Sure, they prayed over wounds, but they also healed them. Their most famous doctor was Imhotep, a real person who was an architect, priest, and healer, so respected that he was later worshipped as a god of medicine.
This was 2,000 years before Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine. Some even joke that instead of the Hippocratic oath, doctors today should swear by Imhotep. These weren't just the people who built pyramids, they laid the groundwork for healthcare itself.
Pharaohs didn't just stock their tombs with food and water to support them in the afterlife, they also made sure they'd travel there in style. Inside their tombs, they had fancy linen clothes like tunics, scarves, gloves and headdresses, plus loads of gold jewelry set with gemstones. Bracelets, buckles, pendants, necklaces, rings, and even little beetle-shaped charms for protection.
Some were even buried with fans made of ivory and ostrich feathers to help them stay cool on the journey to the next world. Some ancient rulers went a step further and included boats in their eternal apartments. For example, Pharaoh Khufu built the Great Pyramid at Giza as his tomb, and a huge ship was found buried nearby.
King Tut, on the other hand, wasn't buried with a real boat but had lots of boat paddles and 3 chariots, plus many sticks made from precious materials, maybe hinting he preferred travelling by land rather than water.
Among the most interesting finds near ancient mummies were bottles of oils and perfumes. If these rulers were going to look elegant, why not smell good too, right? Some tombs also held ancient board games, often made from fancy materials like gold or ivory. One popular game was called Senet, which was kind of like a mix between backgammon and chess.
The ancient Egyptians might have the world's most famous mummies, but they weren't actually the first to invent mummification. It all started much earlier in South America with an ancient civilization called the Chinchorro.
As far as we know, they were the first people to deliberately mummify their dead, doing this about 2,000 years before the Egyptians began their own burial rituals.
Sure, studying these mummies teaches us a lot about ancient rulers, but until recently we had no real idea what they looked like in life. Not long ago, though, archaeologists uncovered very special mummy portraits in Egypt. These are detailed paintings of people, usually painted on wooden panels instead of canvas, and known for being incredibly lifelike. Researchers have even used them to diagnose possible illnesses by comparing the portraits to the mummies they were found with. Some of these portraits show jewelry that was later discovered still on the mummies. The recent discovery of such portraits in Central Egypt is especially exciting, because it's the first time in over a century that new ones have been found.
Sometimes, mummification happened naturally, without anyone's help. Conditions like extreme cold, intense heat, places with very little oxygen, or even accidental exposure to certain chemicals could preserve a body by stopping bacteria from growing.
One famous example is Otzi the Iceman, who lived around 5,000 years ago in Europe. When he was discovered in the Alps in 1991, Austrian authorities at first thought he was a modern climber because his body was so well preserved. But once he was removed from the glacier, scientists realized he was actually from the Copper Age.
Back in Egypt, scientists discovered some ancient artifacts near King Tutankhamun's tomb.
His final resting place turned out to be pretty modest compared to other royal tombs. Just about a dozen wooden coffins dating back roughly 3,600 years. Okay, maybe I exaggerated a little. The 11 other tombs weren't right next to King Tut's. but they were found near Luxor, the same city.
These discoveries help us piece together what life might have been like in ancient Egypt and show us that ancient Egyptians actually weren't that different from us.
For instance, women back then clearly loved jewelry too. Archaeologists found a beautifully crafted necklace with 30 amethyst beads, 2 agate beads, and a hippo head-shaped amulet, probably all the rage back then. They also uncovered 2 copper mirrors, one with a handle shaped like a lotus flower, and the other decorated with Hathor, the ancient Egyptian goddess of the sky, fertility, and love.
Finally, thank you so much for exploring with us today. We hope you enjoyed learning about these ancient mysteries. Don't forget to follow Secrets of the Ancients and be sure to subscribe, like, and comment so you won't miss